Grab a glass of water.
Take a breather.
Yeah.
It's not that serious.
Go out, listen to some bird calls. You know?
Listen to some bird calls. That's funny. Talk of opportunity. All right, let me pull up the stream. Boom.
Grab a glass of water.
Take a breather.
Yeah.
It's not that serious.
Go out. So we're getting ready for our trip to the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh, that's gonna be so much fun, dude. I'm so happy for you. I had a blast. It was so relaxing. It was. I think I sent you pictures. That's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah, you did.
And that's even though it was like a bachelor party. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it could have been even more relaxing than that.
Teresa's freaking out because the warmest it's going to be is 59 degrees there, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
Oh no, it so when we were there at 30,
mm-hmm.
It was like 30, and dude, I was sweating. Like, it says that much, but it feels different
because it's like drier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I figured. Now the thing that kind of freaked me out was that we got our information for our cabin. They finally gave us like the actual address. Like, for whatever reason, they weren't going to give it to us like a week before.
Oh wow, really?
The cabin people. I mean, it's probably a lot of legal stuff, but they were like really secretive. Like to be like, we can give you the street it's on, kind of, but we can't really give you the exact location. And I guess that's so that way you don't plan a murder or some shit around.
No, because I mean, I think Verve, like the Airbnb competitor, it's kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't give it to you 2 weeks ahead. They give it to you like months ahead.
Well, this is a like proper like cabin rental resort.
Oh, they probably were trying to figure out which was going to be available. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and there's like a lot of stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of legal stuff that went with it. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever.
So what you're telling me and the live stream is that you're going to the Smoky Mountains to this very specific street address?
No, not the Blue Ridge Mountains, not the Smoky.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Mountains.
The Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah,
and this very specific cabin and this very. Please find the address in the description.
If anybody needs me between March 3rd and March 6th, I will be at. Hold on a second, let me pull it up. 61 East Elledge. And then just a drone strike. No,
fucking hated that guy.
But didn't do enough research on Vecna. Anyways, but no. Okay, so they're like, we're gonna give you the instructions from the town of Blue Ridge to the cabin, because you will lose cell reception.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then they're like, if you are going down a road while you're on your way to the cabin, if you're going down a road and you realize you went down the wrong road, go to the end of the road and then turn around. There's not enough room for K-turns.
That's good. See, that's how you know you're going to the middle of nowhere.
And I'm like, oh my god, I am not prepared for this.
Oh shit.
So,
all right, Andrew. You ready to do the intro?
Yeah. Let's do this thing.
And welcome to another episode of AToO of Opportunity. We've been gone for a while. It's been a minute since we did our last episode. But as always, this is a podcast all about tabletop RPG, video games, books, and all kinds of geeky things. With me, as per usual, coming back from the grave.
What? I mean, granted, I kind of felt like death warmed over for the longest time, but I'm back, baby. I'm all hopped up on coffee and other pharmaceuticals. You can't keep a good man down, except for me, but only for a little bit. Let's do this thing.
Keyword good.
Rip my shirt on straight.
And me, your other host, Jose. You know, the one that has the funny way of speaking. But yeah, today we're talking about a very special RPG that we played maybe 2 times, maybe
3.
That you would think Andrew will be all over this, DMing this, but instead it's me. Today we're talking about
no, because I
Call of Cthulhu.
Because I want to be subjected to it.
That's right. Yeah, I get to run it, and he gets to be mortified at my descriptions of very visceral things. But with that, let's play the music and get going with this episode.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the conversation with a prompt So that way you can start talking about Call of Cthulhu, okay?
I'm gonna cast and we're back, and I'm muted. I'm not muted.
Were we muted the whole time? Jose?
No.
Jose, look at me. Were we muted the whole time?
No.
Why are you sweating?
No.
Why are you sweating? I know
I'm always sweating, bro.
No, I know you keep your apartment cold.
No, I turn off the fan because it makes a noise.
Okay.
No, I muted when the thing is going off.
Gotcha.
You don't hear me.
Well, Jose, we started session 0 for the Sunless Citadel, right?
Soundless Citadel.
And I said I was gonna
Wait. We can't get started quite yet.
Why not?
Traditions, bro. Come on, Andrew. Before we get going with this deep dive into insanity, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking a iced coffee version of the Sumatra K-Cup from Starbucks because I didn't have enough time to make my cold brew, and I gotta be perfectly honest with you, I am not impressed. Like,
sorry.
Starbucks coffee's not that great to begin with, but the K-Cups are like I'm like, this is technically coffee.
I'll get you through, right? Put a bunch of sugar in it, you'll be good.
Yeah, this is all creamer because I just
sorry. I'm drinking because I'm the one who's kind of driving this episode. A Alani energy drink.
Ooh,
Zero sugar and very tasty. I realized recently that I cannot drink energy drinks anymore.
Why?
I think I told you this. So I stopped drinking energy drinks because my boss buys these all the time, right? So they're always in the fridge, so I drink these. But then last time they went to Sam's Club, they bought like a big pack of energy drinks of a sugar-free Monster,
right?
With all a bunch of different flavors. So I'm like, oh, sweet.
And it gave you the mad shits. I get it.
No, it didn't, dude. Like the minute I drank it, like I was like halfway through the can, I felt like it's burning on my stomach. Like it was like carving. Like I was like, fuck. Okay, no, can't do that. Red Bull, Reign, which has like way more caffeine than that. Alani, which has 290 milligrams of caffeine. Like fine, but Monster, no. My buddy's like, nah, bro, we ain't doing that.
Was it specifically the sugar-free Monsters?
I don't know. I haven't tried the regular one in a while.
Because I have heard of like sugar alternatives like really messing with people's stomach. Yeah.
It could be, honestly. But yeah, no, these are really good. They don't taste like they're sugar-free. You know how like sugar-free ones have like that weird flavor?
Yeah.
No. They don't taste like energy drinks either. They just taste like a nice soda.
It can't be any worse than that mushroom elixir one that I had.
Oh my god! Why don't you buy another one, bro?
I was really tempted to. I might do it for one episode just so people can experience vicariously through me what it's like to drink a mouthwash flavored energy drink. It was so bad.
Gross.
Anyways,
right, but yeah.
So while
traditions, very important.
So while I'm drinking my coffee that tastes like it was brewed in an ashtray. So we had our session 0 for Sunless Citadel last week. And we were all going through our classes, somebody's gonna play a monk, somebody's gonna play artificer, blah 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 blah. And I said I was going to play a cleric, and everybody rolled their eyes. And I knew the reason why. Hold on. I knew the reason why, and that's because cleric is the best class in the game, and it doesn't matter what situation we get in. We have already won the game. And I can feel the visceral, like, tense, like, fatigue. I am tired of this power fantasy. And Jose, I need something that's the exact opposite of that. I need a downward spiral of deterioration for my character. Do you have anything at all that can scratch this itch of this masochistic, like, just urge to destroy myself on pen and paper?
Yes, it's called Traveler.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning into this episode.
Luckily for you, Andrew, you have something that is very much down that path, and it's called the Call of Cthulhu. Ooh, spooky. Oh, yeah, do a spit stick.
That's all.
The horror playing.
That's all.
The horror role playing in the world of H.P. Lovecraft. By Sander Peterson.
So what? Oh, thanks. I just got to add for my thing. So.
Oh shit! The music.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks.
That's okay. So what?
Oh yeah.
For those of you uninitiated, like myself, still somewhat, despite the fact that I played 3 games of Call of Cthulhu. What is
3 games?
3? What is Call of? Oh, I see. We're doing the German 3, not the.
Hell yeah, bro.
What is Call of Cthulhu?
Well, Andrew, let me cue the music up so I can start talking about this. To love for the stream, just bring it up a little bit. Call of Cthulhu is a game about sunshine and rainbows. Actually, it's very fun and nice, and people talk to each other and solve the problems that way. That's it.
Jose,
No, it's not. It's the opposite of that.
I feel like you're fucking with me.
Look, I have this quote. I thought it was just it encapsulates the whole game beautifully. Certain games are not about growing in power and taking on ever more potent monsters for loot. Sometimes a game is more about the experience and the odds of your character surviving 2 sessions with all of their faculties remote. And that's the point. This game is about finding out the darkness, the dark truth of our universe. It's about trying to survive, not physically always, but also mentally. This game is about just making it from point A to point B, from the entrance to the creepy warehouse to the other side, by just trying to make it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This game is about. It's not about having a sword and shield and fighting evil. It's about solving mysteries, and while solving those mysteries, trying and remain sane and keeping your wits about you.
I think it's fair to say that in Call of Cthulhu, the power fantasy goes right out the window.
Right away.
And magic,
right away.
And magic is real bad.
It is, and really hard to come by. And like, if you're like, oh, whatever, I'll just shoot things. Well, shooting things is also really hard, really complicated, and it can go wrong for yourself.
And I remember one game specifically, we loaded up on shotgun ammos and whatnot, and it didn't help a slightest bit. Because
you should have cued in when I was like, yeah, you can find all that stuff, and I didn't put any if and buts about it.
but it's like, how can you shoot something that the mind cannot begin to comprehend? Something that's not tangential to the corporeal plane in which we exist cannot be taken down by buckshot. Okay.
The point of this game is one word: fear. The fear of the unknown, because the unknown is too much to know, and if you know, you lose. It's like the game, man. If you know the game, you lost it. Okay.
Give me a fucking hot slice of that pie. I am ready for it. Everybody knows in our group, I want my guys to die terribly.
Didn't your character die last time we played in the attic monster thing?
I died twice because one of them died, and then you're like, okay, here's another character for you. I'm like, okay, fine. I just immediately rolled with it, and I think it's like the second they got to the room, like a piece of the ceiling collapsed on them or something like that, and they just immediately died. I'm like, this is great. I'm loving this. Everyone else is freaking out, and I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So. I was thinking the best way to tackle this, and I just want to kind of dive a little bit into the background of the actual adventure, right? Fine. So, I'm sorry, not the adventure, of the word escaping me, not the content, the subject.
Okay.
H.P. Lovecraft, right? Amazing writer, kind of cuckoo, came out with like the for me the most interesting type of like horror,
mm-hmm.
which is cosmic horror, right? Like the fact that. I think you explained to me the best. Like, he was so fearful of life that he took that and like wrote with it, and it made you understand like that fear is not about finding the monster, the creepy Frankenstein or whatever. It was about finding out that you know very little about things, and that even a small glimpse at like the real truth of the matter and how insignificant you are in this world can drive you mad.
The man was afraid of everything. And when I mean everything, he wrote a horror story about air conditioning because he couldn't wrap his mind around the concept, and he thought a penguin was a monstrosity. Like, this was a guy who's afraid to walk outside of his house for fear of like a hawk dropping a turtle on him or some shit like that.
And not so much like that. Well, yeah, that also, but like, let's get it out there. This was written in a very different time of ours, and he was a very, very, very
problematic
person. Right? Like, especially when it comes to certain races and certain like religions and stuff like that.
Let's just like address the elephant in the room. The whole Shadow over Innsmouth thing with like the fish people was because he found out he had a little bit of Welsh in him, and that freaked him out.
Exactly. So yes, there is a lot of really problematic in his like the actual history of it, but he did give us some of the greatest horror stories out there, right? If you kind of remove that part out of your mind and just enjoy it for what it is. Excellent stuff.
Yeah, I mean, say what you will about the person or even his writing. I personally find his writing to be a little dry depending on how long the stories are, but his influence is mountainous. I mean, just
100%
blown up.
One of the most influential horror writers out there. And I mean, for all of you guys that are listening, you're like, oh, okay, cool. If you haven't watched the movie The Color Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, to me is the best representation of the best representation in pop culture that I've seen, because I haven't watched The Lighthouse yet. I know. For Lovecraftian horror, right? You never actually get to see the monster. You just see the effects of the monster happening in like the minds of Nicolas Cage. And if you ever wondered why Nicolas Cage never played a crazy maniac on a movie, well, here's where he plays the crazy maniac at 1000%. Like, he just goes all out. And the slow descent into madness with him and his family.
I mean, if you like stuff like those kind of horror movies like that, The Void, The Lighthouse, like you said before, if you like video games like Bloodborne, Silent Hill, there was a third one that I just had in my head and it eluded me. But I mean, if you like stuff like that, you have H.P. Lovecraft to thank for that because
is Death Stranding a little Lovecraftian?
Yes. Death Stranding. I mean, it's not. Death Stranding does have some scary parts to it, but I mean, like the idea of if there's pretty much any kind of horror where the biggest scary part of it is something you don't know and you will never find out about, it kind of comes back to H.P. Lovecraft for that, because like like Mary Shelley's one of the biggest proponents of like the horror genre. I think she is actually the first author for the horror genre, but she had like the monster horror. Like H.P. Lovecraft is like the unknowable horror that you will never figure out, like the nothing is scarier kind of.
Like if you love those moments in movies before they show the monster, and they just kind of like the camera pans into the darkness and you don't know what it is. You don't know what the powers are, what is happening. You just know that there's something there, but you don't know what it is. That unknown fear, he took that's his fear, and he blew that out. Because let's be honest, in every horror movie out there, they always show the monster at some point, and what happens? You're not afraid anymore. Like, it's just at that point, it's just jump scares.
All the tension's gone in the room, but if you have that horror that's done right, like specifically Silent Hill 2, like anybody, if you can't play Silent Hill 2, watch a Let's Play of it, because there's just a sense of wrongness about it, and that is perfectly H.P. Lovecraft, where it's like reality adjacent, like things are wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it, and you never will. Anyways, sorry, going on about
that's what Lovecraftian horror is, and it's important to talk about that before we we gotta dive into a little bit of like the mechanics and kind of like how it works and the aspects of the game itself. But it's very important to kind of know that, and in fact, in the what do they call this? The Keeper's Rulebook,
right?
In page 17, there's a recommended reading section. Just kind of like with Dune, right? Where you have like that crazy. But I mean, all of his stuff is short stories, so you don't have, it's not that crazy.
Yeah.
But like the Dunwich Horror, The Shadow over Innsmouth, Dreams in the Witch House, like all that kind of stuff, just to kind of like help you run the game, set up the mood, because this is not like, oh, there's a scientist, a monster, and it's attacking. Like, this is not like, that type of horror. This is, and once we start diving into the mechanics, we'll start really realizing what it is, right? It's not man versus monster, it's man versus self, almost.
Kind of. It's like in some aspects, it's like man versus the universe. By the way, I remember what the third game was I was going to reference. Eternal Darkness on the GameCube.
Oh, Eternal Darkness! Holy shit!
Which is the biggest love letter to Lovecraftian horror. But but to kind of perfectly sum up Lovecraftian horror, you're not going to get straight answers. Like, the worst thing you could probably do is see the monster.
It's get straight answers. Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into it because, like, once you start, the more you start knowing, the more insane you become. It's like a weird. There's penalties and benefits to it, but not really. Like, sometimes it's a necessary evil somebody has to do, but like, it's great. It's great, and it's also so I was reading through the book. And you kind of experience this when we play the game, is it goes from we're saving the world against the dragons or this Everwinter to I just got this mysterious letter from a colleague that I haven't seen in years.
Right.
And it starts as you're gonna get like an inheritance or something. And then it starts unraveling into darker and darker themes. And the whole adventure might take place in like a block of a city. Right? Like, you go from one building to the other to the basement, like, and that's it. Like, it's very small, it's very intimate, but is tense and is horrifying, and you die.
or your mind collapses at the sheer cosmic insignificance of not just you, but the entire human race.
Yeah. So if you're looking at like the book and you see Cthulhu and you're like, hold on, my Facebook is going off.
I think it should kind of be a rule of thumb that if you see anything like that, your mind just snaps. Just like, nah, you're done, dude. Just
yeah. So like, some people might see like the, everybody knows Cthulhu, the big green monster with like tentacles in its mouth, and they're like, oh yeah, I want to fight him. That sounds like a great idea. No. It's really far away from a great idea. And in fact, I might be wrong here, but if you see that and you're not prepared, and by prepare I mean like really prepared, you're dead. Just seeing it, not getting there, or anything like that. Like, just seeing it.
Well, because I think also the investigators. That's the name of the player characters, right? They're called investigators. Yeah, they also have like the fragility of a Lovecraftian character, and that is, if anything goes south, their mind's broken. They're in an insane asylum, kind of a know. So
and to put it into like D&D perspective, like we talked about like the life of a level 1 or of a commoner before. That's what you are. You're literally just a commoner. You might become a little bit more skilled at certain things, but you're a commoner. Like, if you put an investigator versus a giant rat, you're probably gonna die from D&D. A giant rat from D&D.
Because
like, that's how fragile you are.
Because I mean, it's a giant rat. A regular rat. If it gets to jump on you, a regular rat might kill you. So you don't get a chance.
It's always fun to put that into perspective because, like you said earlier, like in D&D, like you are a hero. You're already the Wonder Woman. You're already the Batman of like that universe. Here, you're just a small Joe that has a bakery or something. Probably you're just working like a canning factory.
You're just a guy that might have a college degree, and woohoo, that might help, or it might not.
No, it might not, because you have more intelligence, and I'll explain that why.
I almost died. I almost died because the book fell on my head. Like, I think I took once. I only had like 4 HP, and I took 3 damage because a fucking book fell on my. Like, I sustained a concussion.
I think I managed, because I felt bad, but I think I managed to roll the highest possible value for that. So that kind of puts into perspective like Call of Cthulhu, right? Like the whole you're insignificant, you don't really matter. Once you realize that, is when you go mad and insane, because it's like the opposite of like what humans are driven to be. humans are always like, oh, I'm special. I'm gonna do something different with my life. This, like, you're not.
No,
Sorry.
there's no, you serve no grand cosmic purpose, and in fact, the best you can hope for is that Yog Sothoth doesn't fucking wake up from his eternal cosmic dream.
Yeah, because isn't that like one of the truths that you told me that was like if you find that out that we all just part of a dream of this one cosmic entity.
Mm-hmm.
And at any minute he could wake up. It's kind of like, you know, when you're in like elementary school and they tell you like the sun can blow up, and like for some reason you forget the fact that they say that in 5 billion years.
Yeah.
But as a kid you're like, any minute the sun might blow up.
But no, that's
why is nobody doing anything?
In 5 billion years, we don't have any time. But no, that's what Yog. Okay, so Yog Sothoth, also known as the I think he's known as like the Atomic Sultan, the blind idiot god, one of those guys.
Yeah.
He is a great old one that is just floating around the cosmos, and he's being kept sustained in a sleep. Like an eternal sleep by these like flute or horn players that surround him, because they believe, or surround it. There's no gender. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
We're beyond that. Because they believe that should Yog Sothoth wake, the world will just, or not the world, existence will just wink out, because we are just an extension of one of their dreams.
Yep.
So try to wrap your mind around that, people.
Yep. You know, and that's why I'm saying, like, the more intelligence you have, the more college educated you are in this game, the more likely you are to figure that one out. The more likely you're about to go insane.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we'll go over all this in a little bit. But yeah, so that's kind of like grasping into the Cthulhian mythos. Right?
Yeah.
This whole, you know, we are insignificant. I'm afraid of everything. What the hell is that? And I'm out.
And,
you know?
and if you get even the briefest glimpse of something that might be akin to the truth, you're dead.
Yeah. And sometimes even worse. Actually, that's best case scenario, being dead right away in this game.
Yeah.
Because there's all the things that can go really, really wrong with you as you go insane. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about the game. This beautiful game too that we play to unwind ourselves after a long day of work.
Now that we're done talking about just Florida in general,
let's talk about the Cthulhian mythos. Watch out, DeSantis is gonna wake up.
No, the blind idiot governor.
Oh, that's great. Oh, all right. So a little bit about the system. The system was first introduced in 1981, so it's not that old, but you know, it's one of the first ones.
That's older than I thought it was. Wow.
Were you thinking like 90s?
Yeah, I was thinking like 96. For some reason, I had it pegged exactly at 96.
The system, you see it right here, it's called it's based on the basic role-playing system, or the BRPS.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like GURPS and like all that crap. Right. So this system was originally designed for RuneQuest RPG.
Okay.
And it's based on just porcelain tile dice. It is meant to be like a very not broad. Yeah, like broad strokes way of like incorporating basic rules to any role-playing setting that you want to create. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and all it is just based on 2 d20s, and the whole goal of the system is to roll under a certain number.
Right.
That's it. That's really the whole system.
I mean, yeah, it. I remember when you showed me the how to play thing. It felt like it was a lot, but then once you realize, I just have to roll within the brackets, everything immediately fell into place. So
yeah, and it was, yeah, and it's one of those that it's hard to wrap. At least for me, it was hard to wrap my hand around it, because in D&D and most RPGs, you want to roll higher,
right, than
whatever the difficulty is. You're like, D20, I gotta hit that 17 DC or whatever. And this one, essentially, what it is like the higher percentage of your skill and whatever it is. Like, I'm really good at cooking, right?
Mhm.
I'm not, but let's say I'm really good at cooking, and my percentage is 75, right?
Right.
That means that if I roll a d20, I have a higher chance of actually cooking a good meal.
You mean a
than
D100?
failing. I'm sorry, a d100, yeah. If I roll all under 75, I create a good dish above it, you know, so if that makes sense. I think that helped me wrap around it. Like, the higher my percentage of my whatever skill I'm working,
Yeah.
the more chances I have.
So if your skill is 75, 1 to 75 is success. Anything outside of 75 is failure.
Yeah, correct.
So.
There's no DC like it is in man, this is a great playlist, but like one song is like really low and the next song is always like really
I'm constantly
there's no DC kind of like on D&D where you have like, oh, DC 17, DC whatever. The way it works is with halves and fifths. So half of your percentage, whatever that is, that means it's a hard roll because you have to roll half of your 90% or whatever.
Okay.
So you have to roll 45 or lower, or a fifth, which is a fifth of your percentage, which is a, what do they call it? An extreme difficulty.
Okay.
And that's it. So every skill in the game is either you roll below your skill percentage, your half, or your fifth.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. There's no, roll me, you know, less than a 90 or less than an 80 or whatever.
Right.
That's it. That's the whole game.
Okay.
That's all it is.
That actually sounds pretty easy then.
It is. It is. Because, again, the part of the game is not necessarily too much about killing monsters or doing crazy things. It's about surviving.
Yeah, just getting through it.
Yeah. So you have some skills. I'm sorry, not skills, characteristics. Man, this playlist.
If you want to change it to something else, you can.
And I'm just gonna put it. I'm just gonna put it really low now that I'm actually gonna start talking.
Okay.
And looking at my notes.
I'm just saying you're not bound to it, so.
No, I like it because it has like that little, like, you know, what does this take place? 1800s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the ones that we're most familiar with: strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence. Right.
Right.
Those are your characteristics.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a couple new ones. We have size, which is how big you are, like in as a person.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna go through each one of these. Aptitude, power, and education.
Okay.
So, from top to bottom, some of these are gonna make sense right away. Some of them are gonna be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you might.
So strength.
You might want to give a quick once over because it's been a hot minute since I've played last.
Yeah, yeah. So strength is muscle power, how hard you hit. That's it.
Okay.
Constitution, your health, your vigor, your vitality. Size, your average of both your weight, your height, and your weight.
Okay.
So, what size you are? Are you a big brute or are you a nimble thief?
Now, people should keep in mind because this is based on. Oh God, Jose's dying. Oh, he realizes
the great old one doesn't want me to talk about this.
He realizes cosmic insignificance. But keep in mind that because the settings are all technically real world, right? Like it's like Philadelphia
Correct.
or some shit like that, or Boston.
Correct. That's a good point. We should probably talk about a little bit about that. Yeah.
So there's no like halflings or dwarves. Everyone's a human.
No. Everyone's a human.
Yeah.
Everyone's a human. Yeah. So thank you. I completely forgot about that. In this setting, it is all real world, and it all takes place in pretty much Massachusetts.
I mean.
I mean, there's like the town of Arkham and like some surrounding areas, but like, in all honesty, it's literally anywhere in the
New England area.
What's it called? That New England area.
Why?
Right?
Is
and then there's
always New England.
I don't know, but then there's that area, right? Like any city you want to talk about or take place into, or town, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Arkham, that just lives in like somewhere to the side, because Arkham is like a central. They do have a map, but it's not even like that well defined. It's just a central, how do I explain it? A hub that connects everything.
Okay.
Like it's fictitious, so it's like, oh, you live in Boston, they call you to Arkham to see your uncle, and then you have to travel to a town between Arkham and New York. I don't know.
Right. Now,
but it's one of those things. So like now there's a lot of board games play, like, you know, Arkham Asylum or Asylum.
Yeah.
I mean, it's named after for a reason. No, but what's the name of the board game? Arkham. Oh,
there's Pandemic Cthulhu.
no, well, that one too. But no, there's whatever. That's an art. I think it's just called Arkham.
Yeah, I think
It's a card game.
I think you're right. I think it is just called Arkham.
Yeah, but so whenever you see Arkham, like, this is the origin of it. It's just a fictitious town in somewhere in Massachusetts. That's it.
Now
And that connects all the way. But it's all real world. It can be like late 1800s, you know, early 1900s, all the way to like modern era. There's stuff here for like cell phones and like all this other kind of stuff.
Oh,
like,
really?
you know, yeah, you know, it doesn't quite encourage you to be like, oh, 2022, but you can bring it to modern times.
I mean,
it is technically a modern game.
I mean, if I were to run a game, I would be like, nah, dude, the world stopped developing after 1930. You know, like, well, I mean, just so we can have like that kind of, you know, that, because it's not just, I don't know. For me, Lovecraftian horror, like, it works better in a setting that you're kind of familiar with, but not entirely. You know?
Yeah, I agree, and that's fine. But also, I mean, look at The Colorado Space with Nicolas Cage. That takes place in 2019. But it's remote. But it's remote enough.
Yeah.
That like oh, I'm gonna go. I have internet. Like,
yeah,
you might have some internet, but like,
there's
The Colorado Space just blocked your signal.
Yeah, there's technically internet, but then like within the first 20 minutes, it goes right out the window, and now it's just not an abandoned, but an isolated farmhouse. So you know, just comfortable enough to get you in there. Then they rip all that security away.
Yep. Which, I mean, it might be a better approach if you ask me, because you know they feel confident. They have their 9mm with a bunch of bullets and their shotguns and shit, like modern guns, the AK-47s and the M16s.
Yeah, there's probably some fucking influencer like, oh, we're going to discover the Necronomicon. Ah! Blood shoots out of all
their first sanity check is when their internet signal goes away. Roll me an extreme check on that.
Ah!
And we lost the influence.
My Facebook feed. But I don't know. Like I said, if I was to run one, I'd be like, nah, dude, 1918. Yeah, here we go.
And that's I think that's fair, because I think that also adds to kind of like role play aspect of it. Because if we do a modern one, we're just gonna talk the way we are. But I think if we do like a 1920s, you know, do some more of like that 1920 slang.
Yeah, be like,
you know,
that's just Aces, kid. Let's crack it. Let's get out of here.
which could be a lot of fun, you know,
until your mind blows up.
But you know, until that point.
This isn't the cat's pajamas now. Oh my god, his head blew up just like this Lucky Strike cigarette. Ooh.
Yeah, everybody's smoking. The doctor recommended it to me.
The Surgeon General says it's good for my health.
Yeah, my baby's gonna be so strong thanks to this Lucky Strike.
I just shotgun it right into my little baby girl's face. Come here, sweet things.
Oh god. Anyways, back to the basic characteristics.
Sorry.
We need to put like smoke, and it's not about.
Yeah, smoke. It's not cool, people. I'm sorry.
This is a fantasy world.
Yeah. But also that gives us a chance to play that like obnoxious early 1900s jazz where all the brass sound like it was farting because of bad audio quality.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so yes. Back to the correction.
Sorry.
So we did strength, constitution, size, dexterity, quickness, nimbleness, physical flexibility, aptitude. I'm sorry, I said aptitude. I mean appearance.
Oh, okay.
It is. Yeah, no. It's how physically attractive you are, both. How attractive you are, both physically and personality wise. Because
okay, never mind. I see that working.
Yeah, because it's real world, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Attractive people get into places faster than me.
And sometimes you have to kind of like, you know, I don't want to say like seduce.
Sweet talk your way through. You know?
Yeah, you know. So, but I mean, it is that like just like kind of like a charisma thing too, like. You know?
Oh, there's no charisma.
That's what I'm saying. Like, can I like?
Yeah, appearance.
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you have like the bouncers, like she walked in legs ago for her. Lips that call my name.
They're like fire. Kind of smells. They drive a man insane.
And then I realized that I was just staring at her for a very long time, saying nothing, and how to start talking.
I realized this entire time I was doing my inner monologue. Outer.
Yeah. The next one is intelligence, and how well an investigator learns, remembers, analyzes information, and solves puzzles.
Okay.
Very similar to D&D. Then you have power, force of will / resistance to magic.
Okay.
And then education, which is formal and factual knowledge and a measure of the time the investigator has spent in education. So how well educated you are, plain and simple.
Okay.
Right, because in a lot of, well, still in our world, but even back then it was even more dramatic when you had, let's be honest, most people with money were the ones that were going to college. You know, you had like all these fraternities and shit that had like the cold bullshit going on and stuff like that. Versus like the guy who just had to work at the docks to support his family right away, you know?
I mean, that was also like a time where like anybody that got any kind of college degree had a career.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Anyone.
yeah. Oh my god. The basket weaving, get on in here. What are you doing? What are you doing on stage?
Yeah, pretty much. And then we have luck, which this implements like a luck system, which is you get a set amount of luck numbers that you can add to different rolls.
Okay.
It's a finite number. You get them later, and I'll go after this in different ways, but essentially, I don't want to say push, but how to increase the chances of you achieving something because you're lucky.
Right.
And then your age. But I mean that's
well. I mean,
how old you are.
Doesn't age? I could have swore age played a role in some things, or am I thinking of something else? Because I thought maybe age, like if you were like older, it affected like your physical.
Yes, you are. I don't know why I didn't write this. You are.
Okay. I don't know why I remembered that.
Yeah.
Out of all the things I forgot, that's the one that stuck.
Yeah. So for example, 15 through 19, the modifier is that you deduct 5 points from your strength and size, and also from education. Okay. Roll twice for luck and use the higher value. Okay. Because you're younger, more nimble. And then if, let's say 40s, you deduct 5 points from strength, con, or dexterity. How embarrassing.
That's okay.
Or split it across 2 or all 3, or reduce your appearance by 5 points, or make 2 improvement checks for education. So luck and not luck. So there's age, and then damage bonuses that are determined by your characteristics, that kind of like drive your character even more. Like it personalizes your character even more than what it already is.
So age
let me turn off my alarms.
That's okay. So age actually affects your character creation. Yes. Unlike in D&D where it's like I could be 999 years old.
And you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll be totally
fine. Yeah, and I think the brackets are 15, 19, 20s or 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay. So for example, 80s, deduct 80 points from strength, constitution, and dexterity.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's split 80 points, yeah. So you can, I mean, you're 80.
Yeah, that's true.
You can split across 1, 2, or all 3. You reduce your appearance by 25 points, but then you make 4 improvement checks for education, so you're wiser. Yeah. So then you have, once you determine this, and the way they're rolled is they're specific rolls. They're not like the ones that for D&D where it's like roll 4, take the lowest, or point by, or standard array. So the way it works is you do 3d6 and multiply by 5. Okay. You wanna do it?
I'll do it. Let me get.
All right. So let's determine your strength. Here, I'll open a little.
Let me get 3d6 because I do have 6. I have a whole bunch of d6s here. All right, 3d6. You said?
Yeah, 3d6.
Okay.
And then multiply by 5.
Okay, so I got 15.
Get that calculator out, boy!
Yeah, because I forgot how to do quick maths. So 75.
So your strength is 75%.
Ooh, I'm a buff boy. All right.
Yeah. Now let's do your constitution. Same.
Okay. So that is 9.
Multiply by 5.
45.
So, you're a bodybuilder where you're like big muscles, but you run out of breath real quick.
But I didn't get vaccinated.
Let's do your size.
Okay.
So this one is 2d6 plus 6.
2d6 plus 6?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So then that'd be 7. So what? 13?
13 multiplied by 5.
Okay. 65.
65%. So you're pretty average.
Oh shit! I just dropped a metal dice on the laptop.
So let's do dexterity now. 3d6 multiplied by 5.
Okay. Ooh, that's not good. That is not good. That's a 15.
So you're literally like a musclehead.
I rolled all ones.
Oh. All right. How about your appearance? I mean, with that many muscles, you must be good looking.
I don't know. Ooh, maybe. Hold on. No, that can't be right. Hold on. 60.
60? Okay, above average. You know, not a lot of people. You know, some girls don't like that many muscles.
Yeah.
Intelligence is 2d6 plus 6 multiplied by 5.
2d6 plus 6 multiplied by 5. Okay. So 60.
60. All right, your characters turn out to be pretty average. Power is 3d6 multiplied by 5.
Ooh, that might not be good. Let's see. 40.
Ooh, below average.
So I'm a muscle-bound, arthritic, sickly, kind of okay-looking, not exactly, George Clooney guy with low willpower.
Yeah. No, let's determine your education.
Okay, I thought the point of this was to not make me. I thought I was supposed to escape reality.
All right, education 2d6 plus 6.
Oh, let's make them all ones. What is it? 2d6 plus 6?
Yeah, multiply by 5.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Let's see. 70.
Oh.
I got brains in my muscles too. Doing the workout where I had the textbook strapped to the bar.
Bro, listen, when I do the workouts with Chris, he's like, okay, remember to breathe, and I'm like, I can't breathe and count at the same time. I'm like, 1. Yeah. All right, let's determine your luck. 3d6s.
Okay. 3d6. Here we go. Oh, that's 2. Come on, Andrew. Is it just 3d6?
Yep.
Nothing times anything?
Nope, just 3d6.
Okay, I got... Oh, wow. Actually, I'm really good on that one. I got 16. Almost all.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 2 6s and a 4.
All right, so here's the thing. Give me your age. You want to do your real age, or do you want to determine your character's age?
How do I determine the character's age?
No, I mean you just pick.
Yeah, I'll
any age between 15 and 90.
I'll just do my real age. Let's go with 31.
31.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which anybody out there that's gonna make fun of it, shut up.
Actually, it just says make an improvement check for EDU.
Yeah.
So in this one is you roll D100.
Okay.
And if you roll under your
within the bracket.
Yeah, you have to do you have to roll a 1d6 or something like that.
Okay, so what was my education? It was 70, right? It was actually
70, yeah.
Okay. I rolled at 87. Wow.
Damn. Okay, so nothing happens, and there's an improvement at the end of a campaign, or not a campaign, a session. There's an improvement which we never get to do because we only did short games.
Yeah.
There's an improvement segment that happens. Okay,
right.
So your age is fine. So nothing major happens there.
And would that be the closest thing to leveling up in this game? Yep. Would just be okay.
Yep. You're improving your skills.
Okay.
So strength 75, constitution 45, size 65, dexterity 15. Appearance 60, intelligence 60, power will 40, education 70. So
this is the guy that like he's strong, but if he drops something, you see him like awkwardly like not trying to bend over, just like doing that weird like squat lean thing to pick it up. And someone's like, "Do you want me to get it?" Like, I got it. Let me.
Oh shit. All right, so let's do now. You have your base characteristics. So now we have to do your half and fifth for each one of those.
Ooh.
Hold on. There was a table here somewhere. Can't find it. I should have written that down. It says combat values. God damn it. Page 49. See, this book does something that I wanted D&D to do, which is put reference numbers to rules, like pages, on their books. I know, right? Like right here, it's like a quick reference chart for half and fifth values are found on page 49.
Instead of being like, "Oh, it's in chapter 8." Oh, you mean like the second half of the entire fucking book? That chapter. Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So for your strength of 75, your half is 37.
Okay.
And your fifth is 15.
Wow.
Yeah. Meaning, I mean, for a hard roll, something that you're not quite like that you've never done before. Oh, hi. Oh, Orange Asp, thank you so much. Sorry, my window was being covered. It says, "Hey, I'm 42, so no criticism here." And then they say dexterity of 15. Ouch, you're not dodging anything. Yep. He also says, I have the GM screen. It has a neat guide for all those values, like a ruler across the top. Oh, that's neat. See, like, I don't have that. We only play on Roll20, and I was pulling things out of my ass. But hey, thank you for being on the stream. It seems like you've DM a couple of these games, so please correct us. All right, now let's do.
That might actually be something where, like, if you're gonna play a game on Roll20, it might be handy to have the GM screen just there for like reference, quick reference.
Yeah, because I might do that with my.
I did that
when we DM.
I did that with when we were playing Strahd. I had the DM screen like, behind the computer screen.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna do that. All right, so your Constitution. Yeah, it says the cheat sheet on the GM screen is amazing. Yeah, I bet, because the ones for D&D, like, I love them, especially when they're like adventure specific. They're very helpful. Anyways, so your Constitution is 45, so your half is 22.
Okay.
And your fifth is 9.
Please don't cough in my eyes.
For your size, 65, so 32. And 13.
Okay.
For your dexterity.
Wait, what kind of hard rolls am I gonna have to make about my size?
Well, if you're trying to like squeeze somewhere or like,
that pipeline, boy.
Well, yeah, or like hide behind something, like that kind of stuff.
Wouldn't a bigger size make it like lower then if you're trying to hide behind something? Hold on. There's gotta be.
Well, so if you're 65, you're probably average. But let's say you're like 90.
Right. So 90.
Oh, that just fried my brain. Hold on a minute. Let's go back to the. I have it right here.
Because I mean, I cannot.
Size. Okay. Size average both height and weight into a single number to see overall wall, to squeeze through a small opening, or even to judge whose head might be sticking out of the grass. Use size. Size helps determine hit points and damage bonus and build. One might decrease the size to indicate the loss of a limb, though lowering the dexterity is more often the solution. Presumably, an investigator loses all size points that disappeared. Goodness knows to where. So maybe size, but perhaps it's not necessarily like the higher the percentage, the bigger you are.
Right.
Maybe it's just how your body adapts to that specific situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
hold on.
It's easier for me to squeeze through like a fence post or something like that than,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So dexterity, 15%. Oh. Your half is 7. And your fifth is 3. That's a hard roll, bro. Appearance 60.
Hey, look, man, I can't help it.
30.
I got arthritis when I was 27. All right.
3012. Here's another 3012 for your intelligence. Your power is 40, so 28 or 20, and then your fifth is 8. Just gotta clarify that. Your education 70 is your highest stat. Is 35.
Weird.
And 14. You're a muscle nerd, bro. What can I tell you? And then luck and whatever. So, boom, you have all your characteristics and all your DCs for all the roles and stuff.
Okay.
So, that will come into play later, but that's it. Like after that, everything else is just roll under those numbers.
Okay.
You know, once we get into like backgrounds and stuff like that, then you're gonna have to like certain things will get advantage of other things and determine other things like
so
reduce ADC. Yeah,
so
there's other modifiers.
Okay, so the backgrounds actually serve mechanical purposes instead of just being like fluff or something like that.
He says with a number that low, I'll probably let them reroll dexterity. A value that low can lead to game-ending issues unless the GM fudges some stuff.
No.
Interesting.
I'd be like,
No.
Look, dude, I get it. I appreciate it. But I'm the kind of guy, like, I make characters going in knowing they might not come back out. So,
Yeah.
like, actually, me rolling low is like,
to be fair, when we play, we're at this point we're like, yeah, if I die, I die. Let's roll.
I mean, there was a reason why I legitimately wanted to play Tomb of Horrors when you said Yawning Portal, because I'm like, just throw my dude in the meat grinder.
We're getting there. We're gonna get there.
Yes.
Yes, and then you know one of the other things is your damage bonus, which is your side plus strength, which is when you hit things, you get a little plus whatever plus. To do certain thing, but that's pretty much it.
Because I mean, it's not, hold on. Going back to character, going back to character creation. Like if my character dies, I can just roll another one, right? Like I don't have to, you know, I'm not like out of the game permanently or something like that. Like if you die, you die for real.
Correct. It'll be treated kind of like how we do with. Oh look, it's my twin evil brother showed up. Obviously, like it can be more involved than that.
Yeah,
but
he gets a plus.
You'll just play another character.
He gets a +5 appearance due to his evil mustache. He's constantly. Yeah, so
the ladies love it.
So I mean that's fine. So if my character dies, oh no, it's a horror game. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah, so they say, haha, fair enough. In longer campaigns, character attrition is very high. Most people go in with 3 characters made, a backup for their backup. Andrew, this is all up your alley. We should probably just do a campaign on Call of Cthulhu.
I really want to, because I want to see how
the
long,
full thing.
Yeah, I want to see how long I can run this gambit for. Like I don't want. I mean, if don't get me wrong, I'm not like, you know, like like burning ants under a magnifying lamp or anything like that. But like if it's something like if I have a character that goes from beginning to end, I know they're gonna be totally messed up by the end of the game. Right? Like they're gonna have phobias and they're probably missing a couple limbs or some crap like that. But I also go into these games knowing there is a very high chance I'm not gonna survive.
Yeah. No, and that's fair. I think, man, maybe I should get like Orange Asp. Is there? So we played the starter set, right? The 3 adventures that come in there, and another one on the Keeper's Guide. Is there one that you recommend for a group, for a first time group? Like an actual long campaign? If so, please put it in chat because we will probably run it. I don't know anything about like. We're more of D&D people, so like for us, we're exploring new things. But if you have like hey, this is a great short adventure, or whatever that you guys can play through a couple sessions, please let us know because we'll probably run it. All right.
Because I mean, what's it? When we played that one, it was like a 2-parter adventure. You had like a pool of characters. And everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to pick this one. And you're like, no. Keep this pool in your mind. You know, that way you can.
Yeah, it was one of the starters. Yeah, it was one of the starter ones.
Yeah.
So after you determine all your characteristics, then you go into something that's more familiar to us, which is you determine your occupation, which is just like backgrounds.
Okay.
And then you decide your skills, and then you allocate your skill points. So if you remember on the character sheet, that we had, there was like your characteristics on top, like your strength, abilities, whatever, all that stuff, and then there was like the biggest chunk of it was your skills,
right?
And some of them had like a little square for a check mark and like other stuff.
Here, I'm gonna bring up the Call of Cthulhu character sheet just so I can remember.
Yeah, get a visual on that. Here, I have there's a sample one here. Let me just pass it. There it is.
It's 7th edition, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just want.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's 7th edition.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Whatever the latest one is.
Okay, sorry. Go on. Like I said, I'm just pulling it up just for reference.
Yeah. So let me get to step 3. Step 1. Step 2. Determine occupation. Okay, so your occupation, personal interests, and other things determine your skills. And these are pretty much, they're looser than like D&D, where you have like, oh, your investigation role or your nature handling, animal handling or whatever, because it really depends on what occupation you want to do and what makes sense for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're like an archaeologist, you put like your archaeology like skill, like library use, because you're educated, you put your education on there. The investigator skills, you choose a couple.
You mean to tell me your occupation actually like affects your like
I know
skill?
Crazy. Yeah, I know, nuts. But like, you remember there was one time that you guys like, oh, what do we gotta do? And like the whole thing was just going to the library.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out what's happening.
Well, that's because I played an archaeologist who did not know a lot about library use. So I rolled really bad for my library use because I'm not in the ruins of some like deep in the heart of darkness Africa kind of thing. Like, I'm in a fucking library. I don't know how to work the Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that was my fault because I picked the exotic guy. Ooh, he has a gun. He's blah blah blah. No, dude.
That gun never came into play.
Never. None of the skills I had helped at all.
And then you can write a backstory, which is this is more of like the actual I came from here and whatever, and I went to school there and stuff like that. And then you equip your investigator, which is all based on your credit rating, which we didn't quite talk about credit rating.
I can't believe there's an actual stat for credit rating.
Well, yeah, because
is that
so? Remember how?
Sorry.
Remember how when you guys went shopping, we're like, oh yeah, you have the money for this because it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's how wealth is handled here. There's not really a lot of oh wow, okay. Sorry, Orange App says, how many sessions are you talking? Their best intro campaign is the one called A Time to Harvest. But that's something like 25 sessions worth of play. It's designed as a great first long campaign though. For anything shorter than that, it gets a bit weird because most of their polished scenarios can go anywhere from 1 to 4 sessions depending on their how they're played. Honestly, both. I think we might want to start with a shorter one.
Yeah, something just to kind of give a sample to the rest of them.
Yeah, because what we played is literally the starter ones, which is at most a 1-page thing for the DM or for the keeper.
Right.
And that was it. And that lasted us 1 or 2 campaigns. If we can do 4, 6, whatever. I think 25 might be a little too much.
Yeah, because
we're currently running a bigger campaign.
Yeah.
And we have limited time.
And what I'm afraid of is presenting oh, hey, here's this 30 session game, and it might I don't want to say it's going to turn people off, but it might be intimidating, especially if we're trying to introduce something new. Yeah, that'd be me playing. Oh, we're gonna play Lancer now. Here's my 100 session game that I came up with.
My 2-year worth of campaign.
Yeah. What a better way to turn anybody off from that? So so just give them a little something the first taste is free, and then boom, you hit them with the 25 session.
Yeah. So I'm gonna look into A Time to Harvest just to have it in my mind. But if you can recommend some of the shorter ones, published shorter ones, I think that'd be fantastic for us for this group.
Can I excuse myself just real quick? I'll be right back.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. We're gonna listen to jazz in our campaign. There is a published session called Deadlight and Other Dark Turns, which is widely considered the most fans as their best compilation of individual scenarios. Published book rather. Ooh, let me look into that while Andrew is excusing himself. The Dead of Light. Is it an actual book, or is it just digital PD? Oh, 5 out of 5. Damn. All right. When the rise of the automobile in the 1920s, people were no longer tied to the railways as a means of getting vacation. For those who could afford the luxury of a car, the expanded United States highway network brought in with opportunities to travel and see new places, as well as visit those that our railways didn't reach, and all at your own pace too. The scenarios. Deadlight and Other Dark Turns contains 2 scenarios for Call of Cthulhu 7th edition.
Okay, so if you hear a little bell ringing, that's my cat. She got in the room.
Oh, okay. That's along with 6 stories. So it contains 2 scenarios, Deadlight and Other Dark Turns.
Ooh.
And for 7th edition, dealing with the theme of roadside adventures, along with 6 story seeds for the keeper to expand and develop.
Oh wow. Okay. I would imagine something like this, because it seems kind of weirdly rules light. I would imagine it'd probably be pretty easy just to add stuff.
Keep going.
To it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's in the classic. Well, you said rules light, but combat gets a little complicated sometimes.
Yeah,
but combat doesn't really happen too crazy. Too often like it does in D&D.
You're not supposed to have combat.
Yeah.
like if you're fighting, you're already in a losing scenario.
So in the classic Dead of Light scenario, not revised, a chance encounter with a distressed young woman leads the investigator into the hideous aftermath of a crime gone terribly wrong. And then in the brand new Saturnine Charlotte scenario, seeking help from a nearby homeowner after their vehicle runs out of gas, traps the investigators in a house where nothing is quite what it seems. Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna favorite this one. Spooky times. All right, cool. Anyways, equipping the investigators. It's based on your credit rating,
okay.
Which is, I'm trying to find out because I didn't write it down like an idiot. What determines your credit rating? I think it was something to do with like determining your occupation and your credit rating. An investigator starting credit rating is determined during the character creation based upon the investigator's chosen profession. In play, credit rating determines the amount of money a character has available. Credit rating also indicates the general living standards a person can afford. So page 40. Ooh, sample occupations. Okay. Antiquarian, artist, athlete, author, clergy, doctor of medicine, drifter, engineer, hacker. Ooh.
Pugilist.
He says, for me personally, and this is just a house rule, I don't track actual currency as a GM. I just have people roll on credit ratings, keeping the story going easier. Yeah. I heard that before from someone else when I was looking at videos, but that's how I did it, because it was kind of like, oh, if your credit rating is like this much, yeah, obviously you can fire 4 bullets and a gun and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's higher than that, you can have a car and like other assets, like a house somewhere that you can go visit and stuff like that. So, everybody has pocket money that can buy them the food and stuff.
I would say that would probably be a pretty good, like, just be like, oh, if it's something like, oh, hey, I just want to buy a hot meal at a diner, okay, don't worry about it, you're fine. But if it's something like, I want to buy like a car, okay, well, you got to make me a credit rating, it's got to be a good one, or something like that.
Yeah, so let's look at an example. Let's look at a librarian. Your accounting library uses other languages. Yeah. Credit rating 9 through 35.
Damn.
Occupation skills, education times 4. Right. And then the other one was cash and assets, page 47. I love this little, like, look here for this thing.
And this is all.
Yeah, so like
this is also kind of one of the reasons why I would prefer a game like set in like the 1930s kind of a thing, because it's like you go to a hardware store, you can buy fucking anything. You can buy a house at a hardware store. You know what I'm saying?
Orange Ass says, I recently brought the Dark Ages settings guide, or bought the Dark Ages setting guide, and it gives all these rules for Middle Age currency. And honestly, I'm just going through it right now. The window. I'm going to throw it right out of the window because I ain't nobody got time for that.
Wait, hold on. There is a Call of Cthulhu for the Dark Ages.
Apparently.
We need. Hold the fucking phone.
Oh god, you got Andrew going now. He says yes, there is.
Hold on.
Let's go. Is there an actual name for it, or is it just Dark Ages setting guide for Call of Cthulhu?
It says Cthulhu Dark Ages.
I'm currently in the process of writing a campaign inspired by the movie The 13th Warrior. Do you know what that is, Andrew?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like a retelling of Beowulf, where it's like from the account of a
Oh my god, I've seen this. I just
of like,
don't remember it at all.
Of like an Arabic warrior that was supposed to travel for some reason. I forgot exactly where, but he essentially ends up with like the Vikings, kinda. I mean, I'm giving a really bad retelling of it because I don't know a lot of the details, but he goes on, he like chronicles their quest against this hideous monster, stuff like that. Like I said, it's like a modern retelling of the Beowulf story. So yeah, something like that would be right in line with like a Call of Cthulhu. That book, that book I'm currently reading, Between Two Fires, would be fucking perfect for a Call of Cthulhu.
Oh god, Andrew, you're supposed to be taking a break from DMing. Stop.
Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. So I just realized the time. We're already an hour in. So a couple other things. So your equipment, it's like I said, it's very loose, right? You're like you will have some things you can just ask your DM and be like, oh, can I have a gun? It's like, well, if it makes sense with your current age and occupation and stuff like that, yeah, you can have it here. Put it in there.
Also, it's the 30s. You can just buy a gun.
Yeah, that too. Then let's talk about some of the unique mechanics for Call of Cthulhu. One of them is just push and a roll.
Okay.
If the investigator fails a roll, they can decide if they want to push the roll. This means that the situation is being pushed to its limit, and if push roll fails, there will be dire consequences. Oh, no. I think I this came into play a couple times when we did, but essentially all this is like, this is like a last resource type thing, right? And if I'm correct, why didn't I put the page on this? Is if you push a roll, you are re-rolling on the extreme.
Okay.
Like the extreme difficulty.
So that's like what, the 1/5?
The 5th, yeah.
Okay.
I kind of have to like see if I can get there faster. Skills. If you succeed, you succeed, but you get to do the roll a second time. If you don't, like, you will lose a limb or you will die.
Right.
Like, it's very dire type thing.
Yeah, this is high risk, high consequences. You know.
Yeah.
Or sorry, high risk, high reward. Yeah. Everything has consequences in Call of Cthulhu.
Game system.
But why? Hi, how can I help you? You part of the podcast? Come here.
You okay?
Yeah. She wants to jump in my lap.
Yeah. And obviously, there's like a lot more to like rolls with advantage dice and all that stuff, where you get like an extra like D10 and you just take the highest one.
Mm-hmm.
There's that going into depth section, because there's nothing scarier in Call of Cthulhu than being in debt again. Whatever, pushing a roll. You push the roll. If you succeed on it, it's harder the second time, but if you succeed on it, you pass. It gives you a chance to do it twice. If not, then something really bad happens.
Okay.
And then the big one is investigator development phase, which we never got to do because we played a very short adventure, and that was it. We weren't going to keep going. But essentially what this is like every time you do a skill check, and you succeed on that skill check, you put a little check mark on your character sheet next to it.
Okay.
Once the session is over and you guys find yourself resting at somebody's house after this crazy phenomenon that just happened, it's your turn to kind of like quote unquote level up.
Okay.
Which means like for every skill that you successfully, so Orange says fail the push in a combat roll, your gun misfires and now you no longer have a gun. Stuff like that.
There you go.
Yeah. Where was I going with this? For every skill that you successfully did during your adventure time, you go through them. Each one that has a check mark, you get to roll to see if you improve on that. And all it is you roll a D100, just like we did earlier.
Right.
And if you roll under your current percentage, 70, 90, whatever, then you get to roll a D10 above that. Wait, maybe I'm doing it wrong. When an investigator makes a successful skill check, they add a check mark to it. At the end of the session, development phase call everyone to roll a d20 against whatever skill they check. If they roll above the current skill level, you add. Okay, if you roll above the current skill level, there you go. Small detail. You add 1d10.
Okay.
So technically, you add 1d10 to that. That what was it, luck or whatever from earlier? Because you rolled an 85 instead of a 70.
Education.
Education, yeah. So then you get to add a 1d10 to that.
Oh, okay.
So let's go back to your small character sheet here. You roll. So now roll me a 1d10.
8.
So now your education is 78.
I'm a smart boy.
You're a smart boy. Obviously, like after you go on the next leg of the adventure and you roll another education and you pass it, and the next development phase happens, you have to roll above a 78. So it gets harder and harder the better you are at that skill.
I'm slow physically, but I'm fast mentally. Like if something is approaching me, I'll be like, "Oh, this is going to hurt."
Yeah, pretty much. All right, Andrew. So
Okay.
now the big one. Oh, wait. Go ahead.
No. Sorry.
No. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say like where does like the fun start? And you know what I mean when I say that. Like going crazy.
Funny enough, because that was the next part.
I kind of figured it was like I want to get into like the mind breaking and
So the big aspect of this game, the reason why you're playing this, is to try to keep your character from going insane, which is really hard to do. So now let's talk a little bit about the sanity rules, which start at page 154.
The sanity rules that I don't follow because
well, this is why I didn't want to record last weekend, because I was like, oh, sanity, you do this, whatever. And then I started going through it. I'm like, oh god, there's a lot to sanity.
No, this is the meat and potatoes of the game.
Yeah.
Like this.
Yeah. All right. So whenever an event calls for a sanity roll, they have to roll under its current sanity points, meaning it gets harder the more sanity points you lose.
Oh, no. Okay.
Even successes can have you lose sanity points. So even if you succeed, you can have the sanity points be taken away.
Right.
Your current sanity points are determined by 99 minus your current Cthulhu Mythos points. So in your case, so a lot of that, he says, so Orange Ass says, so a lot of that falls on the GM because it's investigative horror, which means it's a mystery more than it is a horror. It's up to the GM to properly convey the horror and really set the tone. And part of that is throwing things at you that force sanity rolls. Yeah.
I mean, that's I wasn't kidding when I said that's the meat and potatoes of the game. Like this is where because like D&D is like about dungeon delving and fighting and whatnot. Like no, this is about like throwing your minds against the shores of insanity and seeing what crashes upon them.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, speaking of which, I'm reading this Dark Ages Cthulhu thing, and holy shit!
Are you gonna get it now?
Maybe. It's only like. Oh, never mind. It's $45.
I mean, it's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
All right. So 3 states of insanity. There is temporary, indefinite, and permanent. Temporary insanity is an intelligence check. If an intelligence check fails, no sanity is lost, but if it succeeds, and that effect starts immediately for 1d10 hours.
See,
because remember, the higher your intelligence, the more you're able to understand.
That's
the horror, the mystery.
That's
so the dumber your character is, probably the better off you are.
And to me, that's the genius of this, where it's like,
yeah,
you're actually at a disadvantage for playing a smarter character because your character can comprehend how incomprehensible it should be. Whereas if you're playing some dumb mook, you're like, I don't know, it was like a fucking dragon or some shit.
Yeah, whatever. The shadow spooky. Let's go.
I don't know, fucking fish people. Whatever. Anyways, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the thing is, you want to have that high intelligence. You want to have that high education because you want to continue solving the mystery.
Oh no. I mean, it's great to have it, but it's also a double-edged sword.
So if it succeeds, the effect starts immediately for 1d10 hours, right?
Okay.
Indefinite insanity is if an investigator loses 5 or more insanity points in a day, this lasts until recovery state or is cured. So and a day is considered like an invest. You know, like I guess technically before the improvements phase, development phase. I mean,
Right.
yeah. So that's a day. Like it's like a full adventure time
Okay.
type thing. And then permanent, it means that your sanity points are reduced to 0. It becomes permanent and incurable. You are insane. Your character's dead. No. Well, not dead. There will be a better fate than being this insane.
Yeah. You'll only wish you were dead.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about the phases, right? You have phase 1, a bout of madness. The player loses.
Well, should I make some sanity rolls? Do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I don't have like a number. Let's just say that you failed, and this is what's gonna happen to you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So a bout of madness is like the first thing that happens, right? The player loses control, or the keeper gives you very strict guidelines to how to control your character.
Okay.
And lasts for about 1d10 rounds. 1d10 rounds. When this happens, the investigator backstory is corrupted. Ooh, spooky.
I remember in one of the games that we played, it was like that two-parter. One of our players went insane, or was going through a bout of madness and could not be in the same physical location as whatever it was we were investigating. So they bolted right out of the house, and we never saw them again. They just disappeared.
Yep. They literally just ran into the tree line and to the darkness.
And
somehow the only one that survived.
I mean, for now.
Yeah. Well, towards the end, to the end of the game, that was like pretty much it. And then the investigator, backstory is corrupted a little bit, and there's a couple like ones that are here, like you get phobias and madnesses, arcane tome spells and artifacts can do that kind of stuff. But let's talk a little bit about the real-time bouts of madness. You want to roll a d10?
Sure. A d10?
Yeah.
Okay. I got 2.
You got a 2. Psychosomatic disability. The investigator suffers psychosomatic blindness, deafness, or loss of the use of a limb or limbs for 1d10 rounds.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Orange app says, and there's one set to come out as soon as the Victorian England, like Jack the Ripper era. That's fun. You want to roll another d10 to see what other madness can happen?
I kind of want to learn more about these settings. Okay, yeah. I got.
That's for the next episode.
I got a 4. Are we? Can we keep talking about this? Okay, I got a 4.
You got a what?
Time. A 4.
4. Paranoia. The investigator suffers severe paranoia for 1d10 rounds. Everyone is out to get them. No one can be trusted. They are being spied on. Someone has betrayed them. What they are seeing is a trick.
Now, let me ask you something. Are there like mechanical rules that you play by, or is this something where it's just like, no, you have to role play?
You have to role play this.
Okay, so then it's on behalf of the player to be like,
Whoa.
No, you have to understand you are paranoid. You literally cannot trust anybody.
Correct, but also remember, this is either the DM, the keeper takes control over your character for that many rounds,
right?
Or you really role play these bouts.
I mean, I would be down to do that, and I know some of our players would be down to do that, but I also know that we have some players. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but they might not be comfortable playing like a more antagonistic role,
which is fair.
Yeah. So then that might be that would have to be something like if we were to have a session 0, be like, look, you will more than likely suffer a bout of madness, and when this happens, you have to play this way. Like that's the crux of the game,
Yep.
So
after roll me another d10 to see how many rounds this happened.
10. I rolled a flat 10.
Okay, so after 10 rounds, Orange App says, in longer campaigns, these can lead to your character gaining permanent phobias and manias. Yes, they can. And there's a whole list of here, and we'll go through it.
I had a phobia about books because that one time the book fell on my head. I don't know that.
So now
I don't know if we just joked about it, but something like that. Anyway.
No, I think we joke about it.
Okay.
I think that's So, a bout of madness is over, right? Like that's when like the instant, like, oh my god, like you saw the thing, oh get away from me, and then you run away, and that whole thing happened.
Yeah.
After 10 round, you calm down a little bit.
Yeah, you had like a panic attack essentially.
Yeah. So now is the underlying insanity phase,
Mm-hmm.
which after the bout of madness is this underlying insanity is entered. This mental fragility where any loss of sanity results in a bout of madness that lasts for another that lasts for 1d10 days. So
Holy shit.
any sanity lost at this point, back to a bout of madness. And now it's not rounds, now it's days.
Okay, so how do you... Okay, so the Cthulhu, it's 99 sanity minus whatever your Cthulhu mythos is, right?
Yeah.
So-
And there's a section to determine that, but I can't remember right now.
But I would imagine if you're playing as like a session 1 like green investigator, like my guy who's just like a normal dude, he would probably have like a 0, right? Or maybe like
I think it's determined by. Yeah, I think it's determined. I think that's determined by your education. I
Okay.
believe.
Okay, all right. So how do you determine how many sanity points you lose?
Oh, the adventure tells you.
Oh, okay.
It's like, you know, like I was like, it tells you like, oh, the damage of this monster in D&D is like 1d4 or the average 5 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So like that, it tells you, oh, you lose this many,
Okay.
and if it's critical, you lose more. But whatever.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I think if it's a critical, it goes straight to. It doesn't go through temporary. It goes straight to indefinite.
Okay, I just didn't know if there's something where it's like, oh, you know, you've been exposed to some cosmic horror. You take 1d10 psychic,
Yeah,
or not psychic. What am I saying? 1d10 sanity damage or something like that. God, I really need to divorce myself from the D&D mentality.
Yeah, it's hard because I mean we play so much. 1d6 means you lose 1 if you pass your sanity roll. Lose 1d6 if you fail your sanity roll. Oh, there you go.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so if you fail, oh, okay, so I see. Okay, so if you fail, wait,
If you
slash 1d6 means you lose 1 if you pass your sanity roll.
right,
But in storytelling, that means that
so
you don't comprehend it, right?
no, you comprehend it. You're sane, but your sanity is still a little eroded from it because you can't just
Right.
look at something like that and come out
Right.
totally okay. You're going to be a little messed up.
So 1d6 if you fail your sanity roll.
Right. So
Okay.
then you take 1d6 sanity damage.
Right. Okay.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you said even if you pass your sanity check, there's still a high chance you're going to lose sanity.
Correct. Okay. There you go. That's where I'm getting confused. Yeah. Sweet.
Because like I said, you can't just see something like that and be like, oh, okay. Just like go about your business.
Yeah, it says sometimes there is no slash, in which case you don't lose anything for passing. Okay, that makes sense.
There you go.
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, see, I think this is, man, now I really want to play, because the more I read this, like, I really want to play, like, a short one, like, and I don't want to wait for Halloween.
I mean,
we tend to do the spooky ones during Halloween for some reason. I mean, I get it, but
I mean, we might not have to. We can just pitch it to the group. Be like, hey, do you guys want to?
next Wednesday, all right, guys, we're not playing Tales of the Young Emporium anymore. Anyways, here's your investigators. Let's roll. Nothing like pulling the rug out of your players like that.
Yeah,
Pulling your
right.
players like that. Before number slash is what you lose for passing. Number after is what you lose for failing. Okay. Sweet. All right. So underline after hours of madness, after the bouts of madness, this underlying sanity is entered. It's this mental fragility yada yada minus for 1d10 days. It's essentially at this point you're still, I don't want to say paranoid because that's technically one of the bad of madness, but like you're still, it's like that moment like you see like the shadow out of the corner of your eyes and you're like, you're a little paranoid. I guess that's the right word, but like it's not the paranoid madness, it's just you feel it. There's something real. There's something nagging at your brain. Like it's there.
Right.
You have control over your character again. This lasts longer. And remember, this is not like, I guess it's technically it's like D&D, but like it's a slower pace thing. There might be like time constrictions for certain things. But honestly, like if you're like investigating a warehouse and something crazy happens and people go into like indefinite madness insanity right away, like you guys can be like, okay, we need to retreat. We need to get these guys some help because we can't do this without them.
Right.
And at this point, they're not being useful. Like that is a total viable option. It's not. I guess with D&D, we're so used to like, oh, we gotta keep pushing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like here is very much like, no. Let's go take a break. I need some tea right now. I need to unwind. Mr. Crazy Eyes over here is definitely something wrong with him. He needs to get some me time.
Right. But I mean, also, like, don't you have to interact with the world a lot more? Like, isn't there a lot more like you like talking to people and stuff like that? Isn't that
Yeah.
doesn't that okay? So then you obviously being more than a little unhinged might play into that.
Yeah.
Where it's like certain things like the indefinite madnesses and stuff like that of D&D, they're essentially just extra flavor for your character.
Yeah.
Like I don't really see them playing that much into like the mechanics of it, but this, like, if you're suffering from like that long bout of paranoia, not quite, that you were talking about, I could see that being like,
and here's some examples. So for one of them, is the first one is obviously personal description. So suitable entries, because it goes to your background, might include like you're wild-eyed, or 1,000-yard stare, or world weary, or no longer cares for their own appearance. You have stuff like like injuries and scars. They are more unusually altered as a result of major wounds. The scars, I mean. Let's do ideology. A balanced entry, such as religious, might be unchanged to something more extreme or deranged, such as unbelievers must be converted or made to suffer. Alternatively, a new entry that is appropriate to the situation might be made, such as obsessed with defeating the Cthulhu cult. So it starts adding things to your background for you to actually start role-playing more.
right.
Into those specific things. Orange App says there is a pair of scenarios that come with a GM screen that both have your characters playing 1920s mobsters, and they can be tied together to be played as a single mini-campaign, and I think they're great. The best one I've done was when a PC who was a marine biologist ended up with thalassophobia.
Well,
you.
yeah, I mean, that already comes pre-packaged, so.
Here, you want to roll for a phobia in a menu?
Yeah, I mean, thalassophobia, claustrophobia, arachnophobia.
Give me a D100 real quick.
D100. Here we go. I got 25.
25. Claustrophobia. Oh, okay. Well, fear of confined space.
Okay. Again, why are we making me? I hold on. We got.
All right. How about a mania? Give me another D100.
77. Please don't say manic depression.
No, it's upsomania, an abnormal pleasure in complaining.
What? Wait, what? You take pleasure in complaining?
That's what it says, yeah.
So you become a Karen?
Yeah, an abnormal pleasure in complaining.
Just be like, just let me speak to your manager.
Your hair just changes very slowly.
Wait, when did we get a minivan? I don't get this.
And when you're in this manic, or not manic, in this the underlying insanity, one cool thing that like the keeper can do is throw things at you that and this is kind of interesting, especially from the keeper aspect of it, that you're not sure if it's reality or your insanity manifesting.
Ooh.
And it's up to the player to do sanity checks, or there was another check, or reality checks.
Okay.
So the keeper can like describe something that only you see, right? And if the moment is right, where like you're away from the characters and you see something, it can manipulate the story for that specific character.
Okay.
And if the character is not, I guess, or if the player is not, I guess, knowledgeable enough, or doesn't, or forgets to ask for a reality check to see if it's like a real thing or what's happening right now, roleplay wise, it takes that as reality. Like, that's reality. And it could be as crazy as tentacles, like, cover the wall and show you this mysterious key or something like that, and you grab it and then you think you have it, but you really. Or it could be like a person talks to you and tell you that in this house that you guys are investigating, on the last floor, there's a mysterious something, yada yada. And the player might come back like, hey, I met this dude the second, and then everybody's like, what are you talking about? There's nobody else here with us. No, really, there's something. You know what I mean? Like,
but if you look where that person said, and there's something there, then it's like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so you can. This is one of the moments that like the keeper can start messing with.
That would
people who
actually
are
be
going.
a really good way to like if like the group is stuck on something, be like, okay, you're just gonna have a break from reality real quick, and like, but we're like I'm gonna give you a hint, but it's gonna be disguised in a really bad like wrapping paper.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
That would
Orange F says bouts of madness can also be used as a tool to further the story if players get lost. Yeah, exactly. I like a prophetic nightmare that forces a sanity roll upon waking up, but conveys information the player might have missed. Brilliant. Yeah. So what it sounds like to me is that the keeper just has to keep throwing sanity checks at the group.
I mean, that makes
that's the whole point. Yeah.
That makes
in an interesting way. I'm assuming it's not just like, oh, you saw a fork laying there by itself. Oh, sanity roll.
I have fork phobia.
Yeah. Okay, so
is this why you eat your steak with a spoon?
It's kind of weird, but we just let you do it. All right, so without getting into much more details, mainly because I haven't read every single detail, but the last phase is recovery.
Okay.
And at this point, there's like two things you can do. You can either do private care, which is determined by if your credit rating can support it, or if a player credit can support it. And then you do a couple of rolls. If you succeed, you get cure. If you don't, you lose sanity points and you have to keep doing it. Like it's a small mechanic, but at this point, you're either institutionalized or you get in private care.
Okay.
Private care costs money, but there's more chances of you getting cured. Institutionalized. So, as I give you an example, to succeed, private care, you have to roll between 1 and 95. Right?
Okay.
And in an institution, you have to roll between 1 and 50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the
51
mark.
to 95, no progress has to be made. And 96 through 100, you lose 1d6 sanity points.
I mean, the institutions at the time were not great.
Yeah, that's what it kind of describes,
Yeah.
And then there's actually quite a lot more, but here's a quick rundown of sanity loss. 1 through 2 points. Discomfort and unease, something gnawing at the corner of the mind. 3 to 4 points. Disgust or the feeling that something is wrong here. 5 to 9 points. Fear, panic, disorientation, enough to cause a potential episode of temporary insanity. This represents a major shock, leading to uncontrollable physical reaction. And then we have 9 to 19. Mind warping horror. Hair changes to white, violent physical reaction. Physical and mental shutdown, sudden character changes, raving and delusions, or propensity to either be violent or total fear. And then 20 plus, ultimate cosmic evil, beyond humanity's ability to comprehend. The mind is broken and will take a long time to return to sanity. And even if a way can be found, the person will never be the same again. Results in certain indefinite insanity. So that's when you character.
So these are the tiers of sanity damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So most of your Lovecraftian protagonists go through the 20 plus at the end of the story.
Yeah. So that's sanity. There's quite a bit more than that, but it's kind of like the essence of this and the whole the essence of the Cthulhu mythos. Mm-hmm. And it's all about trying to keep your character sane, which is going to be really hard to do. You're just trying to play between that threshold of like, do not lose too many points. Like a little bit of sanity is good as long as I can fix it with a nice cup of tea. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to like be institutionalized. It becomes, and I compare it a lot with the game that we played, which I love, which is Haunting at the House of the Hill. Mm-hmm. When bouts of madness happen, it changes the rules. So players, I hope you can't hear that. Players now get to take part into.
You're the only one that hears it, man.
Yeah, actually changing. I need to make a sanity check. So at that point, like you said earlier, like depends on the player whether they're comfortable with it or not. Then they start like really working into the story by having certain like manic episodes or bouts of madness where they have to run away from the characters or affect the story in a way and so forth. I think it's very interesting mechanic. I think it really will have to, people will have to push their comfort a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a horror thing, so yeah. obviously you're going to have to set boundaries. That's what Session
Yeah.
Zero is for. But then you're also going to be like, okay, we're going to have to do some things that like are just outside our comfort zone, you know. So like, yeah, doing something like that, like playing a character that is slowly losing their grip on reality. I would imagine some people aren't totally like, not. I'm not saying it's like offensive or anything like that, but some people might not be comfortable with it. But I think once you get the ball rolling, it's just like any other art, like role playing game. Once you start stretching those muscles, it you know, you get more comfortable.
I agree.
With it.
I think it could be a lot of fun. It's definitely a break from the full like D&D power fantasy that we always go through, which is it's fun on its own, but you know, it can get stale after a little bit.
And sometimes you just want something a little different. Sometimes you want the exact opposite of that.
Yeah. So, just, I mean, you know, we went through this much of the book.
Wow, really?
We have that much left of the book.
Holy crap.
Yeah. We haven't even touched on the actual, like, battle mechanics. They're a little bit more involved than the just roll a d20. You know,
should we
like you said earlier, battle fighting and conflict, like physical conflict, is not necessarily the goal of this one particular game.
Yeah.
In fact, you're trying to avoid it because a bullet can kill you, like in real life. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go into the details of that. We kind of did that when we played. And while interesting, it's still just a role-playing fighting mechanic. Like there's not a lot to it. However, the reason sanity is so important is because everything in this fucking game is designed for you to lose sanity points. Use a magic, use a spell, lose sanity. You know, oh, you read this tome,
well,
lose sanity.
I mean, I would imagine first being like, oh wait, magic's an actual thing. Like this is an act. Yeah. Like this, okay. And then that's where that's where the sanity drain starts.
So there's a huge section on just magic, right? That we have a huge section on playing the game, which is the actual mechanics. But then look at map of Arkham.
I would actually be because like you said, combat. It's not really the predominant thing of this, but I would actually like to go over the magic part. Maybe in the future if you're down for it. Because like that's the part that interests me, you know.
Yeah, because there's magic and then there's tomes of Eldritch lore. And a whole section there's the I don't know how to pronounce this guy. It's Sad Aquadium, the cultists, the ghouls, Cthulhu, and in the Necronomicon. Like there's like a whole bunch of like things that players find throughout the game, and like the very first stat on it is sanity loss.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then it gives you stuff like, you know, like for example, Cthulhu in the Necronomicon, sanity loss 1d6, Cthulhu Mythos +2 +4 percentiles, Mythos rating 18, whatever. But then it says after you read this, suggested spells is contact deity Cthulhu, contact deep ones, elder sign. So you get spells based on this, but to get those spells, you're gonna lose sanity.
That is not. I would not touch those spells with a 10-foot pole, man. You cannot make me contact any of those deities. That's not
so they can make. So they can make you. There's like a huge table on just tomes. There's spells are very, very powerful, but they're to keep your mind like sane. You can't do both.
It's like how they describe magic in like a Song of Ice and Fire. It's a sword without a handle. You use it, you're gonna get hurt. You know.
Yeah. There's the how do you pronounce this? Grimoire.
Yeah, Grimoire. Yeah.
Grimoire. There's a whole section on that with a lot of different things.
That's got to be something where like your back is against the wall in the hardest way if you're going to use magic. That's like, all right.
There's a massive section on artifacts and alien devices. And then obviously there's a section of monsters and beasts and alien gods.
Oh my god.
With a scale table.
Oh my god.
You see that dot right there? That's humans. And they're dying. Orange Gap says, I love horror games, don't much care for fantasy anymore. My main games now are Call of Cthulhu, Viacen, and Alien. Oh, never heard of the other two. The game has a full set of mechanics that resolve around chases. Yes, it does. Yeah. The big thing about Magic in Call of Cthulhu is that it only comes into play in long campaigns. Magic and tomes are tied to one another. Correct. Yeah. So the tome gives you the magic spells. So yeah, you're right. Because so essentially, for the way I understand it, is like a whole adventure might be just finding the damn tome.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to study it to get that one spell. But at what cost?
Yeah.
And then that continues the story. You know, that's like a small section of like the bigger story. Yeah, but the game does have a full mechanic on chases, which is very interesting. I think we got to do it once, I believe.
I don't think we did.
Didn't we do like a foot race something?
No, I don't remember any of that. Because I remember we did the solo game, which was just you and me, and I was investigating. Now, a lot of that was investigating. And then we did the two-parter where there was investigating in the first half, and then the second half was confronting whatever was in the house. But
that's right.
I don't remember there being any chases.
And then we have a whole bunch of monsters, man, with all the beautiful stats.
And let me take a guess. The second you look at these monsters, you start losing sanity.
Yes.
Okay.
For all of them, except for a few that are like cultists.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like
the sketches are also pretty cool. Hopefully, you can see that.
I kind of can't. I don't know why the camera's really pixely, but it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Maybe my mind was not meant to comprehend it. It's okay.
Yeah, and actually the keeper's guide comes with two scenarios in the back, so that's pretty cool. We're an hour and 46 minutes in, and there's still like a lot to cover.
I'm always down for it,
but
too. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I feel like I gave you like a big rundown on the game. You know, the big part of it is sanity, and investigation. Obviously, horror and fear is at the core of all of this. You're very squishy. You know, you're not a superhero here. You're just trying to survive. You're trying to solve the mystery. You're trying to get out of whatever the situation is. Right. It can lead to a lot of like interplayer roleplay, where especially when sanity starts being a factor, insanity starts being a factor, which I think is very interesting. Obviously, once you start getting into the monsters, like, I mean, do you remember the monster? Do you even remember the monster from the one that you played? The minute you poke your head through the thing, you died.
It killed me. I know you. Yeah. I don't think any of us ever got a good look at it because it's just like
nope.
The second you make any sort of eye contact with it, it just kills you. You're just dead.
Yeah. And what was this? And what was the solution? To do a fucking spell, a ritual.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Or run away from the house.
Or run away from the house, because you guys went to like the supply store. You got like shotgun shells, revolvers, bullets, like all this stuff, and I was just like, yeah, of course you can get that.
Now,
whatever, you know.
Granted,
it's rural America. Of course they have bullets and shells.
Now, granted, that stuff helped when like the undead bears and shit started pouring through. Yeah. But the actual thing itself, no.
Nah, not even a little bit.
No.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the game? I have what Orange Asp recommended for the short adventure pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
I think I might get that. Maybe after we're done with Sunlit Citadel, if people are down, we can play one of the short Cthulhu ones.
There has been
or short, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah,
shorter.
But I mean,
not full campaign.
But I mean, you know, because I text you directly. There's times where I'm like, man, I really want to play Call of Cthulhu, because it's so different than what we're playing right now. It's like a fresh breath of air. Like, oh god, I am vulnerable.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing of it, because like even like when you're trying to make things tense in Call of Duty, what in D&D, you know, like you're like, okay, cool, we there's a monster here, but look at this cool +2 sword I have. Like you might find out that the monster hits really hard, but like between 7 of you, like what is that thing gonna do? You know what I mean? There's not really any pressure to.
And also, like, when it comes to certain types of media, I like horror. Like, for some reason, tabletop and horror, for me, go really well together.
Yeah. Because in your mind is the most terrifying thing you can do. Yeah.
And like you can do horror in D&D, but like I think it's like after like level 3 that goes right out the window, because then you become so much stronger than all these spooky scary monsters and stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes I feel like sometimes with D&D it feels like if you die early on, it's a lot of the times because either a stupid decision or you're just the dice were against you.
Yeah.
It was never the, oh my god, it's out of my control, I'm gonna die anyways, which is terrifying. You know. Orange Asp says, watch the opening 3 minutes to the John Carpenter movie The Fog. That storyteller, that's the type of feel I try to convey when I GM.
Or like, what's it? Like
I need to watch the freaking Lighthouse, bro.
You really do. I mean, it's not Lovecraftian. I would say it's Lovecraftian adjacent. Because I mean,
adjacent, yeah.
I mean, because it's not like you see like blah or anything like that. But like, but it's like there's something not right,
dude.
About this.
Yeah, Colors Out of Space with Nicolas Cage, like that inspired me to like run that D&D, that Call of Cthulhu adventure.
Color Out of Space is probably, I would say, probably the best Lovecraftian movie we got so far. Like
such a trip.
It's
or modern one, I think. Yeah, Orange as said the Lighthouse is amazing. It's very Lovecraftian. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, but like another thing that like compels me to this is that like when you were talking about like Sanity playing a role, or Insanity rather, playing a role with the party dynamics, because the D&D and it's not just D&D, but like most of, like, you could say the same thing about Pathfinder, you could say the same thing about most of your tabletops. Like there's a very cooperative spirit there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Whereas this, like because your character is eroding, that party cohesiveness begins to corrode as well, and that's all a part of horror. Like it's gonna get to a point where like, can I even trust the person that I have been technically adventuring with this entire campaign, because this dude's over here afraid of anything, like you know, like he's afraid of AC now.
Yep.
So,
yep.
You know, so I mean, like something like that, I think that, like I said, a breath of fresh air. So
yep, I agree. I am down to run a short adventure that recommended by Orange Asp. But that's it for Call of Cthulhu, at least for right now. I'm still reading a lot of it. It's a chunker of a book, like any role-playing game out there. You know, especially the ones that combine like the player handbook and the DM book in the same tome.
Right.
But yes, Andrew. Session highlights.
So I just want to throw this out there for our fans now, because we had to kind of suspend Rime of the Frost Maiden for a bit, just because I'm going through some personal issues. So Jose has taken over the DMing while I'm dealing with what's going on in my end of the world here. So Jose has taken over DMing. So we did a session 0 for Sunless Citadel. We're playing Tales of the Awning Portal right now. We introduced a new face to the group. I mean, he had been playing, like, streaming with us, but now he's like part of the tabletop. And we also birthed into the world probably the greatest NPC idea that ever happened, and that's definitely the highlight for me.
Yeah, it was for me too. I just love how all that came to be. By the way, Orange Apps, thank you so much for following. We're also on Facebook and YouTube. If you wanna kind of keep up with us as well on Instagram, that'd be awesome. We try to stream every Wednesday. For the most part we do, but we also do Call of Duty Warzone on Tuesdays, which is a blast because we're ridiculous and we always lose.
And we're terrible at it. We're awful.
And we're terrible at it, yeah. So right now we do a lot of D&D. Well, not right now. We do a lot of D&D, but we're trying to explore and coheres our teams into other RPGs, which includes Cyberpunk, Starfinder, Lancer, Call of Cthulhu.
Gentle nudging towards
gentle nudges. Yeah. What else are we thinking of doing? Dune. Maybe one day.
Dune, Pathfinder 2E, Lancer.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. stuff.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu, Cyberpunk. There was one more. Oh, and I have the Laser Bender RPG as well. However, he mentioned an Alien RPG. Is that Alien like Ripley's Alien?
I think so.
Because
if it's just Alien, that sounds like that might be like Ripley's.
Yep, he says yep.
Or Ridley. That's Alien, not Ripley's.
Sorry, yeah, Ridley's. He says yep, it is. Sweet. And then I'm gonna look into the other one because, and he says, and it's glorious in all caps. I gotta check that out. And the other one that you mentioned also, I'll go back to Chad because I never heard of that name before, so I'll look into that. Thank you again. Also, we're gonna finish our podcast here in a little bit after talking about the highlight. But dude, you've been great. We are very new at Call of Cthulhu, so having you here helps.
Orange Asp, thank you so much for showing me the Dark Ages Cthulhu. Jose's gonna regret that.
That hit him right in the heart.
Because man, medieval horror, that's mwah.
Oh man. Alright, so session highlights. It started when Chris, I asked him to give me like a piece of artwork for his character, and he sent me this picture of a tabaxi with like the weirdest file format I'd never seen in my life. It was like JFIFF.
Yeah, .jfif, I think.
Yeah, so I'm like, what the hell is this? I can't open it anywhere. Just
yeah,
dude. And from there, freaking Robert with his AdSense, bro. Oh, and you wanna explain it because it like downhill like snowballs so quickly.
And there, conceived live on stream was
there's a highlight on the channel.
Was the greatest NPC idea we've ever had, where we came up with a character named Jefif, who is the snarkiest, snottiest, just rudest like stereotype of a French maitre d' you can think of. Where it's just like the moment you enter their atmosphere, you just feel hostility for some reason. and they're miserable and they're gonna make you miserable and they're always smoking.
Yeah. To the point, it was so crazy. To the point that Robert, the guy who did the AdSense originally, he was like, you know what? I'm taking not the name, but I'm taking the personality for my character now.
No. He took the name too.
He took the name too?
Yeah. The last name of his character is now Jafif.
Jafif.
So I mean, it's a 10-minute long clip that we have on Twitch, I think, right?
On Twitch, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just all of us just bouncing off these like terrible ideas for just like the worst kind of person that you would hate to deal with.
It was so good. But yeah, no, that was my session highlights. That and having Chris around, because the first time he played D&D was such a bad experience. I can't wait for you guys to teach him what actual D&D is.
The first time that he played D&D has officially been redacted. If you look in the dossier, it's all black.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's blacked out.
Yeah, like in Black Ops. It never happened. So.
Yeah, he's excited to play. Do you have any news? I know there's been like a lot of stuff going on with the D&D world, but honestly, it's so it's also overwhelming for me. I'm just like, I just need to like.
So I mean, I'm going to give you the quick rundown because a lot has happened between the last time we recorded. So the new OGL 1.2 was proposed. There was a severe amount of backlash still because even though it sounded a lot nicer than 1.1, because 1.1 was straight up draconian, right?
Yeah.
1.2 had a lot of problems with it. And the biggest one was that there was a morality clause, which for those of you unfamiliar, they were saying that if you publish any work under 1.2, the OGL 1.2, and Wizards of the Coast deemed that it was inappropriate or offensive or what have you, they can just pull your rights from it. And the real screwed up part was that it said something about how like they have complete and total control over what they deem is inappropriate. So it can literally just be, if they don't agree with it, it's considered inappropriate. Because like how far does that sensitivity to the content go? Like you could do something where like you can have like the Red Wizards of Thay, which are like terrible horror, like it's a terrible, horrible, like fascist slaver kind of community within Faerun. But if you have an adventure that, if like let's say you publish an adventure where your characters either confront Thay and wizards or have to go to Thay or something like that, they could be like, oh, nope, sorry, that's offensive. You got to pull it now. You know, so like just a lot of wiggle room in the wrong places. There was something else too that I remembered, but it was essentially 1.2 was a poison pill. You know, like it looked nice, but it was gonna screw you over.
Yeah, Orange Ass says, even though they went back on it, the fact that they would even think to suggest the changes lost them a lot of trust. Yes. Wizards of the Coast is dead to a lot of people now. Yep. The equally bad stuff they're doing with Magic the Gathering commends it. Dude, I'm not even, like, I know one of my, Robert, he's really big into Magic, but, like, I'm not even into that world, and I can see it already. It's sad, because, you know, they had good faith, at least in the D&D part of aspect of it. But honestly, this was kind of for Andrew and I were like, yes, now we have a reason to push our players to other.
Hey guys, how about that Pathfinder, huh?
But, yeah, I think D&D for us is more of like a
gateway.
Safe space. That's what I'm trying to say, or comfort game.
Yeah,
because it's easy. We understand it. We don't have to think too much about it.
Yeah.
But we want that cyberpunk. We want that Lancer. We want that Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, now that we got a taste of what's out there, I'm like, ooh, I want to try something a little bit different. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna, you know my stance about D&D right now, but I'm gonna go back to it because that's just what I'm most familiar with. But I want to try something new, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And Orange App says, honestly, I think it was healthy for the industry that D&D had its fall from grace. Something needed to happen to get players to try other systems. 100%.
1,000%. Yeah.
Before that, we played Cyberpunk, Cthulhu. What else? Did we play something else? Did we play something else?
I don't think we did.
Okay, so those two, and we did have fun, but we just kept going back to D&D because everybody's comfortable with it, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, them falling from grace like that, and we're like, wait, guys, look, and just pull all the books that we have.
You know, and the thing about it is that they said, oh, well, due to your feedback, blah, 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 we're not going to be using OGL 1.2 and stuff like that. And all the stuff, all the SRD is going to be the current SRD, which means nothing that's going to be published in the future, but what's published right now will be part of the Creative Commons and stuff like that. And like a lot of people were like, oh, okay, that's all we ever wanted. But it's like the mask has already slipped. We know exactly like what their intention was, and it's just like Orange Asp is right. That trust completely demolished. Like, you know, what I'm suspecting is that they're waiting for people to forget, and then they're not gonna.
This is the internet. Nobody's gonna forget.
No.
Orange App says Lancer sounds cool. I love mecha. One day I'll learn it.
I'm a huge fan of.
I'm a huge fan of older mecha anime. Yeah, same, bro. I've watched. My favorite's always been Gundam. I have a bunch of Gunplas on over there. I've watched every single one of them. And when Andrew told me about Lancer, we had okay, so if you care, we have an episode about new what did we call the episode, Andrew?
Oh man, I forgot. But we were just like going over like a basic overview of some of these RPGs that we want to try. We haven't played them yet, but we want to try them. And it was funny because we were like, okay, you do two and I do two. And your two was Dune and help me out with that.
Kids on Bikes.
Kids on Bikes. And I was supposed to have Lancer and I think a countless amount of stars or something like that. I forgot. I actually forgot the name of the second one. And I was so enraptured by Lancer. I'm like, I don't even remember the second one. I'm just going to go on about Lancer for a bit.
Yeah, so the episode is called More to See Than Just D&D. If you go to our website, you can kind of see the thumbnail on there. And if you want, we talk about a lot about Lancer and other role-playing games that we want to play. You know, just plug in an older episode if you want to.
But
it says Macros. I'm a huge fan of Macros fan here. Love Macros with two S's. I bought the book from Blades in the Dark, but haven't bothered to read it. Oh my god, he's throwing names.
I heard Blades in the Dark is really good too.
Oh really?
I've heard things about Blades in the Dark. I kind of want to touch upon that on a future episode. I want to do a little bit of digging into that.
Sweet.
Yeah. But like, I think the biggest just slightly going back to the OGL thing. I know it's talked about a lot, but I think the biggest nail in the coffin was when Paizo announced that they're doing the orc, their open license. What was it? It was like I forgot what orc stood for, but it's just like, no, if you anything that's published under orc, it's there. We're not going to touch it.
Yeah.
It's actually legally irrevocable and stuff like that. And I think something like by the end of the week, I think like something like 10,000 content creators have jumped on that. So it's just like, nah, man.
Which you can't blame them. Like, you know what I mean?
No.
Oh, Macross. I remember. It's an anime. I thought you were talking about an RPG. Yes, I do remember. He says, Orange App says, yeah, and they were gonna put it under non-profit third party. Coasium also joined in on the org, which is Coasium is the publisher of Cthulhu.
Right.
Yeah, which is great. I love it. And it shows that, like, first of all, there's tons of companies out there who like still believe in the whole like this is like open source, like everybody can play RPGs, you know. And you're right. The trust on Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, just gone completely.
Dead.
You know. However, for as sad as it sounds, I think once the movie comes out, people are gonna forget. A lot of people are gonna forget.
I think at this point, Hasbro's banking on the movie. They're, you know, they I don't want to sound like paranoid or something like that, but I think they're gonna try to use this as like a recruitment thing. Like this is just gonna be propaganda now.
100%. Which originally, if this wouldn't have happened, that's exactly what it was for. But now it's even more so. You know, like, oh, look how cool D&D is.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, you know, the state of the D&D world is shaky. And I mean, they have a lot of money, but like honestly, and I love the fact that a lot of people start looking at other things.
And Wizards of the Coast was served a huge slice of humble pie, and they should, because this is not. I know the world that we live in, but this is I feel like this is one thing that definitely should not have a monopoly over our lives. It's something like this. So, you know, there's room at the table for other RPGs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Orange S says, all Wizards of the Coast cares about right now is trying to get people to start forking over money regularly. They want to convince people that D&D Beyond is the only way to play and get people to pay a subscription fee like MMOs. Yeah, no, I know. And hey, listen, D&D Beyond, excellent tool.
Completely
just
unnecessary.
The approach, so completely unnecessary. But like the approach that they're taking about it, it's leaving such a sour taste. I love that they lost. I forgot the number. It was an insane amount of subscription numbers.
They lost like something like, I want to say like 80,000 subscribers.
It was crazy. And
which doesn't.
To be fair, I never had a subscription to D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
But I do have a subscription to Roll20, which they own. So.
Oh yeah, that was another thing. They were going to try to limit virtual tabletops, and it was going to be something where like I if I remember correctly, part of the OGL 1.2 was that if you're playing officially licensed Dungeons and Dragons stuff, it can only be on their virtual tabletops. You can't play it on.
I remember that. Yep.
And that was another huge backlash thing.
Yeah. Orange says I use Foundry. Yes. It says still pretty green at it though. I'm learning. Yeah. So Foundry's excellent for what I hear. The problem is that, not problem, but the thing is that our table. We've like all in between all of us, we've invested so much into Roll20 already.
Yeah.
That sadly they have their claws like in us.
It's kind of a sunk cost fallacy at this point.
Yeah, and I hear Foundry is excellent, and I would love to switch, but it's not gonna happen anytime soon. Am I more hesitant now to buy games on or buy the modules on Roll20? Yes,
absolutely.
But you know, it's a necessary evil for us because we stream online. We're not in the same area, so we kind of need it.
But I mean, also Roll20 does everything I need it to do. I'm the kind of guy like I'm a basic dude. like vanilla and sprinkles kind of a thing. So I'm not big on like gadgets and gizmos. So like Roll20, it does what I need to do, so it's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right, well, let's end the episode because it's 2 hours and 8 minutes in. Yay! so it's a bit of a long episode. Thank you guys for joining us again in one more episode. I know we've been out for a little bit. A lot of live stuff happening in the past few months.
Life got in the way in a bad way, but it's okay.
Yeah. But hope you enjoyed a little bit of Call of Cthulhu and how crazy and insane horror can lead into excellent storytelling. And we might be playing an adventure in a couple of months or so.
And Orange Asp, thank you for like the commentary. Like,
we appreciate it.
Huge help.
You're obviously knowledgeable about Call of Cthulhu, so if we, misquoted anything, let us know. We don't care.
I care.
Your knowledge. Well, no, I mean, we don't care that he's correcting us.
Okay.
We care about the subject. Your knowledge, and now thanks for getting Andrew that horror medieval bullcrap that we're gonna have to hear him talk about it for the next year or so.
If I had $1 for every medieval horror piece of media I have, I would have $2.
But with that, thank you so much for joining us one more week. Please make sure to follow us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple. We release these episodes bi-weekly. We play D&D weekly, and now Call of Duty weekly as well. But with that, thank you guys so much for joining us, being part of our community. You're awesome, and as always, keep on gaming. We will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Orange Asp.
VIP.